like now to introduce you to the first keynote speaker, the project director for the UniMET, Professor Reza Ziarati, who's also the chairman of the Centre for Factories of the Future, and also the principal of Tudor Institute of Maritime Institute, Tudor Institute of Maritime Studies, and also he's the founder of the Marine Future platform. And I'm sure he's going to tell you all about these things in his presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And maybe before I start, I should tell you a little bit of why we are doing all this, where we are and where we are going. Now, so for those of you who have been involved with the European Commission, you know the Commission has been here for some time. I became involved with the European Commission in early 1980s when I was the Dean of Engineering at Southampton. And we had the involvement was that Europe wanted to set up and encourage innovation. They set up national tech nets. By national tech nets means they gathered a group of innovative projects in various European member states at that time. There were 12 of them. And then joining all these national tech nets to form the Euro tech net. Now we had a lot of argument. What is innovation? They talk about best practice. We are still arguing. Yesterday we had our group meeting on that. What is best practice? We are working with our Polish colleagues about centers of excellence, maritime center of excellence in various countries in Europe. People say, what is the center of excellence? So these arguments have been going on for some time. But at that time, like the American, they started defining what do we mean by best practice. Best practice was something that is a practice that's taking place and deserves further consideration. And obviously, if something is good that is working, then I think the European Commission wants to promote it. The second issue was about innovation. What is innovation? Innovation, within the Eurotechnet, we defined it. Eurotechnet defined it, not business as usual. So if you have got something that is not business as usual and you want to transfer it, Commission was there to support. We work with many organizations. You know, many of us, we are involved with IMO. I sometimes represent Institute of Marine Engineering, Science and Technology, a non-governmental body, and sometimes as a member of the national delegation. We go to these IMO meetings and you know there are 100, God knows, countries around sitting. There is a lot of momentum. There is a lot of inertia. Not so many papers, you get lost in what is actually taking place. But IMO intentions are good. This is the only body we have which is now guiding us and setting up the standards. We know about STCW, which concerns maritime education and trainings. We also know about the other major columns of our profession, the SOLAS, MARPEL, and IMO is also very interested with International Labour Organization because manning is a major issue. Now today, I want to tell you when Eurotechnet started. I was glad I was there. I was there because it started then. So I have a feeling for the European Commission. The European Commission has good intention. It's a very efficient machine. And the idea was, I remember, how can we promote innovation? How can we bring people together? Was to set up programs. The very first program was a spree on, now they call it Framework 1, 2, 3, we are in the 7. And I think there is not going to be a Framework 8. They're going to call it Horizon. Let's see what happens. But at the same time, we were developing education and training programs. Force, COMET, ETRA, you name it, eventually Leonardo. Now Erasmus, Tempest, and so on. So I think all these things are a good thing. So in some 4 or 5 years ago, I personally was involved with manufacturing. We started the Factories of the Future program. There were a number of these from 1984 to 2004. And when I went to Turkey in 1996, we set up a Factory of the Future in Turkey. Now, manufacturing has organized itself relatively well. There is a platform called Manu Future. You can go on the net and have a look at it. Every country is involved. They are very active. And the platform advises the European Union on future of manufacturing. So we thought, why not Marine Future? So we started Marine Future. And to be a member of Marine Future, you have to be involved with one of the European Union innovation programs. Either transfer of innovation, which is some of the Leonardo and so on, or development of innovation, which is managed centrally from the European Union itself. Now, having said all this, we started looking at our future by looking at the previous research. And in 2004, there was a paper by Torkel. He said, Torkel reported that 25% of the world fleet was responsible for more than 50% of the shipping accidents. It was noted that the top 25% of the safest ships were involved with only just 7% of the accidents. So there must have been a reason for all this. Secondly, another paper came from Norway that reported by saying that improvements can be made to the quality of the world fleet if the safest fleet, the 25% category, and everybody could achieve their standards, and then the number of accidents could be reduced. The percentage of accidents could be reduced by 72%. There were also issues about shortages. I remember we published a paper in Turkey about that there would be 5,000 shortages of officers in Turkey and 100,000 worldwide by 2020. And then the PIMCO ISF report came. They also said there is going to be 27,000 senior officer shortages by 2015 and so on. There were other reports. And they were, if you look at the publication at that time, Intertanko was talking about one engine stop every week. One engine stop is one accident waiting to happen, and these accidents do happen. There were also reports that the number of accidents due to automation failures are increasing. We also knew about the IMO reports that 80–85% of accidents are due to human failures and so on. And we have, for those of you who have read the PIMCO ISF recent report, the trends are the same. Okay, there has been an economic crisis, so things are not as bad as they were expected, but the trends are the same. So there is going to be a shortage of officers and so on. I know my other colleagues, other keynote speakers are going to go and talk about STCW and so on. I want to touch on a few slides. I will not go through them, but later on when we have the workshop and we are going to sum up, I'm going to come back to some of these. So I don't want to preempt the other two keynote speakers. But technically, STCW has come, there has been changes. We are going to have a lot of discussion today and tell you why UniMET came, why European Union supported UniMET. But just to tell you, at the time, there was this view that the STCW 1995 should remain intact. And what should happen should clean up the inconsistencies, misleading interpretations and outdated provisions and so on, but also target certain identified needs. Again, I'm not going to go now through this, but we're going to come back to it after the presentation this morning to tell you what are these changes, where do they come from. But one of them is very, very close to my heart, is the fact that, I think I can find it here, yes. Yeah, here. Shift from knowledge-based to competency-based. It sounds simple, doesn't it? First of all, if you look at the STCW, the interpretation of the STCW is complicated. Some of the statements are political rather than technical. We are going to refer to some of these because these are the facts. That is why many countries have found it very difficult to implement it. And we are very pleased that IMO has come up with these model courses to help many countries to implement STCW. For those of us who have been involved with EMSA, we know EMSA goes and visits various institutions in various European countries, as well as outside the European country, and they have found there are a lot of problems in terms of implementing even the very basic minimum standards set by the IMO. Now, why are these reasons? Why, for instance, these countries or some of these institutions are not implementing the STCW correctly? There is a reason, not that they intentionally go out of their way to do it. So it means if there are, say, some safest flags, some safe northern countries in the general have been found to be safer. If they are, there must be a reason. And if there are some of the southern flags or countries somehow, for whatever reason, are having problems or more accidents, there must be a reason. So we started looking at some of these problems in various countries. We reviewed some of the reports, and we found out that some changes has to happen as far as the STCW is concerned. And those changes, some of them has happened. We are aware of it, and we will discuss it today. In Manila in June 2010, some of these major changes were introduced. Even then, we noticed some of the things that we were recommending to IMO but were not being implemented in the STCW 2010. One of them was, for instance, stricter and tougher standards for maritime English. We started Martin Project. Martin Project is about developing standards for maritime English. The other one was the accidents due to automation failures are increasing. We need some sort of program to find out why and see how we can reduce these accidents at sea. The other one was prevention of emergencies, somehow being proactive to make sure why emergencies do happen and try to prevent it. And if two emergencies do take place, what measure can be taken to make sure that emergency is managed? And also the question of integrating maritime education, research, and innovation, and setting up the Marine Future itself. We have been involved in a number of maritime education and training programs. I know Dr. Martin mentioned some of them. These information, detailed information are in the Marine Future. You can have a look at it. We have got some new ones. One is the UniMET today, which we are going to discuss. But there are some number of other new ones. Then again, we are going to go through it today, sometime later, to see why. Why do we need and what is actually taking place? Now, you may ask why. We are also generally involved. Why institutions are supporting the European Commission? The European Commission wants you to identify the needs and support you financially. But why do we, as professors, we get a salary every month? Why do we get involved in so many projects? Which means working late night, coming in, and you saw the technology failing you. So you're standing here sweating for no reason whatsoever. But nevertheless, there are reasons. Firstly, we like to make the sea safer. We like to respond to identified deficiencies. We want to help to reduce the officer shortages. We want to offer maximum opportunities to our cadets. You will hear some of these cadets here. Officer Urcan Acar is here. He's a Turkish cadet. He went through the SOS program, and then he was sent to Scotland. He presented himself to MCA. He got his MCA license. He went to Plymouth University. He got his degree after 1 year. Why? Because these programs were created for him. All these pathways were set so that he went from one pathway to another. Today, he's got his Turkish COC, his UK COC, he's got his HND, he's got his MBQ, sea training diploma, and he also got his degree. Now, this man is ready to be transferred wherever he wishes. We also got Tufan Shahin, he's another one of them. You are following Urcan, right?
Yes, right.
He's now in Plymouth doing his degree, and we have got one of his lecturers here, Captain Home. Thank you very much for being with us. But this is the way to do it, because people say, why? This is why. The pleasure you get from creating these sort of opportunities. We want to create jobs. Some of these guys are working for CFF now. Some of them are working for me in Turkey. I have an office in Turkey and I have an office in the UK, and we are setting up a number of projects in the UK. We have brought the countries together. Now we are very close with our Polish colleagues. We even put a bid together for Azerbaijan for twinning projects. So we are keeping our fingers crossed. So the reason for this is one thing leads to another. It creates opportunity, creates wealth, and also we are going to achieve gold standards. How are we going to achieve? What is gold standard in maritime education and training? We have been arguing this about good practice. We looked at all the countries in Europe. What are the practices? There are all examples. No two MET programs are the same. We find that the most technically a spectrum of different MET programs. We went to Spain. Professor Herman was there with his team. He seems to handle things slightly different to us. We went to Professor Steven Cross from Holland. They are handling things differently. We want to know why. We went to Finland. Santa Cruz University has integrated some of the programs, even I would say within their program. Holland has got this combined program. Is it working? It is working. Let's explore it more. Let's find out more. Maybe we should promote it. Maybe we should let people decide. We went to Turkey. Turkey suddenly, we were amazed that they are actually working with Norway, with the Scottish institution, with the English institution, setting up programs and creating opportunity for the cadets, for their staff and whatever. And when we asked them why, they said we want to achieve gold standards. We want to be world class because maritime is world class. So we went, there's no reason why we shouldn't go for gold. And you have to remember, STCW is minimum. IMO cannot set up gold standards. We are not in that position. You should not look at your own countries in Europe. You should go else to certain other countries. I do not like to mention, not that they are inferior or they don't know whatever. They need support. They need to understand things. So in a sense, some of European countries, we want to work with them so that we can go beyond STCW. We know maritime universities do a lot more. We know a lot of young people are not coming to our profession. That's why we have got shortages. Now, is there a job for them on shore when they finish after 6 years, 7 years, 10 years, when they want to get married, when they want to? That's why, for instance, we went to the European Union, we came up with Sail Ahead. Sail Ahead is about setting up career pathways for serving seafarers to come back to land. And one of the reasons, for instance, people sometimes say, why did you introduce that particular program which is leading to a degree by Plymouth University? The reason is when they come on shore, if they show the degree, they have an opportunity to find a job. So there are always reasons. And also, we wanted to learn from others because technically none of us know everything. Even when I read this STCW or some of the changes, the interpretation is complicated. That's why we are going to come here and talk and see whether we can find out more with IMO, with other organizations. We just came back from a conference in Holland. Professor Stephen Foster organized the Mayday Conference, which is another European project trying to prevent emergencies in the future. And that program is underpinned by a number of accidents, which hopefully we have learned from accidents, and we are going to promote and tell people what we have learned. And then we had a conference in Istanbul about SERPAS, which was about preventing automation failures at sea. So learning from others, forming consortium is important. But above all, I think attracting young people to our profession is important. Today, one of the elements of UniMET is Martel. Martel is going to be launched officially soon. There was a presentation at IMO. There has been a discussion with various maritime organizations, and I know Dr. Martin is leading that project, is setting up this standard is going to help companies know where the seafarers and what is standard. Don't we want to know? We need to know where they are. And if these standards are going to be fairly developed, so be it. We had the SOS project. This SOS project was about safety on sea. Now, the European Commission supported finding where the innovation is taking place, and really UniMET is a continuation of SOS, finding where these, not centers of excellence, or even not best practices. The practices that seem to be different, and it's working. Let us go and explore and find out and present it. And today, some of these practices will be presented to you. We had the EGMDSS, which was a very successful project, because e-learning is important. We should not shy away from it. Seafarers could do with a series of very good e-learning packages. This is a working e-learning package, and a lot of people are now using it and so on. And we are very pleased that it has been a very successful platform. We have Train for Seas, which is a mobility for staff and students. I know many of the staff have gone to various countries. Some of you went to Glasgow and Plymouth, but there have been. We want to promote. You are familiar with this mobility program. European Union is going to put huge sums into mobility because mobility is very important. It has been successful to bring us together and make Europe what it is today. Okay, we have a crisis. Maybe another 2-3 years. But as intellectuals, as academicians, as professionals, we have to look ahead. And I have got a feeling is Europe could learn and move ahead. If you look at some of the existing policies, integrated maritime policy, you will see that the intention is to integrate and to be able to transfer knowledge from one place to another. The Marine Knowledge 2020, this is the way to go and make sure Europe moves one step ahead. It's going to be based on knowledge and development of knowledge. And we have a number of other projects that those of you who are familiar with European Union programs, is to transfer from one area to another. We had just concluded a project called EPIC. That was about design issues, learning from automotive industry and transporting into yacht design and development. So we have had a lot from manufacturing into shipbuilding. Now we are saying there is no reason why, for instance, there are not going to be certain aspects of innovation from one member state into another. But we need to know what these different practices are. Now, SERPAS, I did mention this was a project they just concluded. We had the final conference in Istanbul 2 days ago. and it was on the webinar, so everybody could interact. It was amazing. Apparently, this is on the webinar, so everybody in the world can listen and hear us. And that is a fantastic technology because I have 20 emails since the conference in Istanbul. Sometimes challenging some of the statements we made, or wanting more information about some of the things. And the fact that some people want to join us. By the way, we are open. Anybody can join the Marry Future. But to become a member of Marry Future, you yourself have to become involved in developing a proposal. Developing a proposal is not easy. The chance of success in these proposals is about 10–15% on average. So would you go and put the whole consortium, bring people from various countries together, have 1 or 2 meetings, put a proposal, read all the requirements, and then not successful in writing to your members, I am sorry, we have failed today, and thank you very much for your support. Better, you need to have courage. You have to have courage to say, yes, it's not going to succeed. But we have not shied away for 10 to 5 years. If we fail, we go back again. If things are there to learn, we go and learn. If people criticize, we take it. If there is a comment, we consider it. Because the important is it to be persistent. Because I know if you are intelligent enough, eventually you learn the rope and you do what is necessary. Every project we have put in so far has been successful. And I know later on, Professor Stevens is here, he will talk to you about Mayday. But SailPass and Mayday are technically about to make the sea safer, looking at the previous accidents and learning from them. Now, before I finish, in 2005, I was working with my colleague in the European Union, and we came up with a little map. Yes, IMO puts a lot of emphasis on safety issues. How can we help? There is a contractual arrangements. The manning is an issue. How can we help? STCW, we have been going around looking at deficiencies. We work with licensing bodies. Martin and I, we have seen the chief executive of IMRS a few times. We went to MCA a few times. And sometimes MCA is telling us, why should we support, for instance, Holland? Or why should we support Turkey? We are the MC of UK. We are the Coast Guard agency. And my argument with them is shipping is global. Safety is important to all of us. And these countries are not begging you. They want to set benchmark. They want to see whether they are as good as, or what they do is similar to. So these arguments have been going on for some time about SEC, removing automation failures, maritime English, improving the English, the standard English, emergency situation, e-learning, manning issues, and so on, because we know automation is going to continue. And this is our present plan. We have a number of these projects. And again, today we are going to go through some of them during the discussion and tell you what they are. But UniMET is a continuation of SOS to find out why people are doing things differently and eventually promoting and letting the world decide which model they want to use. And also helping them to implement not the STC, but also some of the changes that's coming. And in the future, those of you who are involved with BRM and ERM, you knew they used to call it good practice courses. Good practice was industry what to do. IMO took it on board. It did happen. So how do you know? 5 years' time, SailPass, Mayday may become good practice, and IMO may promote it and make it mandatory. So there is no shame. This is our future now. This is one of my final slides. Please join us to find ways to attract young people to our profession. STCW revision and implementation, some of you find it easy, a lot of countries don't. That's why I'm very grateful to IMO. It's a post-modern courses, which I know we encourage, for instance, in certain countries, that did help them to implement STCW and understand it more. Personnel shortages in terms of offices, if we create compatibility of qualifications, like this guy here from Turkey, Tufan was an American cruiser, right? That would have been impossible for a Turkish cadet to sail on an American cruiser. So that opportunities have been created. But that could help, because there is a huge surplus of ratings in Turkey. And there is a huge deficiencies in Europe. I know Josephine was arguing this case, but this is OECD. We have to accept their figures. And if they are wrong, we should challenge them. We should try and say, look, we have found out that your figures are wrong. Nevertheless, there are surpluses, there are deficiencies, and somehow mobility could help the young people to move from one member state to another and so on. And I classify Turkey as a member state because they are a member of the education and training program, as well as research and development. Also setting up centers of excellence. Turkish Maritime Center of Excellence, the proposal for 43 million euro went. Finland was very supportive, and Poland was very supportive. It has gone through the approval procedures, and I know that there is a meeting shortly to discuss. And in fact, the European Union delegation in Turkey, they came to us. There was another project. Say, Professor, could you combine this? How could you combine these two projects? And somehow we decided not to. So we are waiting to see. But technically, there is no shame why no other member states could also do what Turkey is doing. If Turkey can do it, I'm sure Poland can, and Italy can, and so on. Some time ago, we were talking to colleagues in UK and Europe. They used to say, Turkey's behind us in terms of safety, and UK is more advanced. So I told them, okay then, this is the map of collisions, grounding and so on. Tell me, is it Turkey or UK? They couldn't tell me. And I said, what about this one? This is Turkey or UK. They're going to come back to this slide because the situation in both countries is the same. Norway is just as dangerous as Bosphorus. And if we can learn from one another, if we can move the basic standard of maritime education and training, we are going to help those countries. So there is no country when it comes to maritime. And finally, I'm going to say thank you for your attention, and we will be here. Hopefully, we are going to make contribution to discussion throughout the day. Thank you very much.